over there. You can see here that I have the timeline open here. I'm actually going to review some of it. And then if you guys are interested, I'll talk more about it, Um, they met on set as far back as 2009. That's a while back. So yeah, we're going to talk about it when we get to it. But for now, I just think, again, if we need well balanced institutions that will put proper judgment in place without the influence of public opinion and social media. All right.
But they're still afraid of what consequences could be from all of this. With a number of them hitting on a note that USA Today hit on, saying, the loudest voices on the internet may not believe her, but millions of women have had experiences like the ones she describes. When people mock her, experts say they're inadvertently laughing at every person who has said they are a victim of abuse.
You know how many victims of this will watch this whole thing and go, no, we're laughing because she's a fucking liar and her story is ridiculous. Everybody's looking at this story and they see the overwhelming evidence. They've heard the voice recordings from Amber herself saying that she was attacking Johnny, doing all this stuff, and they see her lying on the stand, right, and getting caught in lies, and they're like, well, yeah, this is hilarious. This is like a joke of a story. This one that
All right. So let's talk about this. We'll talk about Amber Heard and Johnny Depp. All right. The story that keeps giving, Amber Heard and Johnny Depp. Okay. I try to follow it a little bit, but some of the things that keep coming up on the scene. Again, the first time I covered it, I told you I didn't know much about the story, but it's getting a little bit interesting. The little I'm picking up, I talked about the sister who said she couldn't advise on their marriage and things like that, which is the reality. People can't really advise on your marriage. Plus, they won't listen when they're in love, right? But I didn't have enough details about them. To be frank with you, I wasn't really familiar with this people. My wife was familiar with them because she's a movie fan, right? Yeah, there's a few things that I've seen so far that piqued my interest. Okay, number one is this whole Me Too movement thing. I'm not a fan of the Me Too movement either. Okay, I'm just being honest with you. Just because I've seen enough to say, okay, can you slow down a little bit? Can you slow down a little bit when it comes to, oh yeah, we're just gonna believe women, right? I saw that a few years ago. I've noticed that anytime they're talking about, the word that rhymes with the fruit, the purple color thing, I'm not gonna say that word right now, right? And anytime people are talking about it, somebody came out with an accusation, especially since the Chris Brown thing, right? Obviously, there were evidence on that one, and he admitted to engaging in, laying his hands on a woman, right? But since then, we've also seen quite a troop of stories of just randoms, insane accusations, and everyone believes before they actually prove them guilty. Some have been guilty, some are innocent. And for me, just common sense, just looking at things objectively, it doesn't really make any sense. That somebody's just gonna say, oh yeah, he did something to me. Oh yeah, it must be true. That really never made any sense to me, okay? But then when I talked about it, people push back and say, no, you should still believe the victim. That's like victim shaming and all this kind of stuff. So when I first covered this, I didn't know this was potentially one of them, right? But then I started to listen to a few other platforms, and then they're saying she told a bunch of lies. One of them being Abba and Preach, that she told a ton of lies, right? And that's kind of sad, because we know that these things happened, but it was kind of difficult to come out because of the cancel culture and Me Too culture. You can't make fun of the slightest anything, which I agree. There should be a line. You shouldn't be able to make fun of traumatic experience for people. But if somebody has evidences against them already, it's a live coverage of the whole trial, that they're lying, that they lied. Like as of yesterday, I was just looking at another video where she potentially may have photoshopped a lot of the pictures showing that she was beaten up, right? All right, so why would you ever need to put such photos through Photoshop or any kind of softwares, right? So that's kind of scary for me because I got boys, okay? And we have a generation on the internet, on social media, who tends to believe headlines before they actually go into the story. And then they see a headline, they don't consume the content in totality, they run with just whatever they want to believe, and then they connect it with another person, and before you know it, it becomes the truth. And these are sizable books. They're minimum 200 pages. You can download them absolutely for free by simply going to, for example, this one, you just go to getmymarriageback.com, smartrealestatewholesaling.com, realestatemoneysecrets.com. So yes, I am a 3 times author. And those books are out there for your consumption, and they are also available everywhere on Amazon, anywhere that you pick up books. So in case you prefer a physical book like that. Unfortunately, sadly, that's the generation that we live in. All right. So this Amber and Johnny Depp's situation is coming to be like that. Now, a lot of people are on the internet rooting for Johnny Depp. It looks like there's a lot more people on his side. Okay. There's a bunch of women on his side. There's obviously a bunch of men on his side. So she's not getting a lot of support. Now, a few things that I'm looking at with this couple that seems weird to me is, as soon as there was a divorce or some sort of divorce or something like that, she ran straight to create some kind of article. I think it was on New York Post or TMZ, something like that. And then it was an elaborate article about DV, right? Domestic, blah, 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 right? And she's claiming to be the activist now. Now, this is something that I was very suspicious of. I suspected something like this happening, like literally up to 5 years ago. Like this was about to start happening, right? Like people would just say, hey, I blacked out, but when I woke up, I saw a little mark on my body. This is what happened to me. And people would not do any kind of investigation whatsoever. My point is that it's scary, because if you know how capable human beings are of being delusional, you will never allow that in a society where there are institutions. Okay, so in a twisted way, I'm not happy that there is a story out there at all about domestic blah blah, right? But I'm sort of kind of happy that there's a little pushback against the idea of public judgment, public opinion, and public judgment. We need a pushback, because if we don't do that, it's just dangerous. Does that make sense? It's just dangerous that we're just going to allow anyone to just come out and accuse anyone of anything, not do proper investigation, right? And, the court of public opinion will lock them up for life or destroy their freedom for life. It's dangerous. So that's what this story is becoming. It's becoming like it's more so about the lies that some women, yes, not all women, obviously, because that was the case. Is I don't care if you're generalizing. If that was the case, we would live in a war zone, right? And we don't live in a war zone. So let's get in the habit of saying some, okay? Just because you're trying to build a platform doesn't mean you should be generalizing people heavily against one group of people. It's terrible. It tells me more about you and your character if you do such things. It is still enough that we do need to, definitely address. And if this case comes out that she's lying, then it will be victory for all of us, because again, we got sons and we don't want them to go to school and they're just cracking a small joke, and before you know it, somebody says, hey, they touched somebody inappropriately, right? Now, on the flip side of things, we do want criminals that touch people inappropriately. We want them to keep getting locked away too. Okay? So I'm just hoping that we're able to build a system, institutions that we can trust for proper judgment,
But they're still afraid of what consequences could be from all of this. With a number of them hitting on a note that USA Today hit on, saying, the loudest voices on the internet may not believe her, but millions of women have had experiences like the ones she describes. When people mock her, experts say they're inadvertently laughing at every person who has said they are a victim of abuse.
You know how many victims of this will watch this whole thing and go, no, we're laughing because she's a fucking liar and her story is ridiculous. Everybody's looking at this story and they see the overwhelming evidence. They've heard the voice recordings from Amber herself.
So, overwhelming evidence. Everyone is talking about it. I'm yet to actually review. I actually do want to review and see some of the stuff over there. You can see here that I have the timeline open here. I'm actually going to review some of it. And then if you guys are interested, I'll talk more about it, you know. They met on set as far back as 2009. That's a while back, you know. So yeah, we're going to talk about it when we get to it. But for now, I just think, again, if we need a well-balanced institutions that will put proper judgment in place without the influence of public opinion and social media. All right.